and so were everybody who was with me. So I started taking the cards back. So I guess if you feel like you're under pressure, just say you're a travel agent and they'll soon go and find somebody else.
That could be a good idea, yeah. I think, if you're approached on the street, you've got to be just understand that you're going to go to a presentation. You may have won something, but there'll be a catch. There's always a catch, and as long as you're aware of that, some people do this to go on holiday. If they do that, they respond to a cold call. They go to a presentation knowing full well that they're not going to sign up to anything, but they get a nice, few days away. It can be done, but likewise, it's knowing what you're stepping into, and I think that's one of the problems with people when they get caught on holiday is that they just don't understand what it's going to turn out to be.
You can follow me on Twitter @holiday_hut. Still to come, why you should visit Antigua, but for now we're finding out about consumer rights with Adam Mortimer from the UK European Consumer Centre. We just covered timeshares, but there's more other things you can buy when you're on holiday, so I'm going to talk about more down-to-earth purchases now. A timeshare can be quite a major purchase, but you do other shopping when you're out in EU countries. So can you help people there if they have a problem with something they bought?
Yes, yeah. It's not just the travel or the contract while you're away. Like you say, for the timeshare, you might go into a shop and just buy some shopping. You might go and buy a big purchase. You can buy loads of electronics away now, that sort of thing. You might just be at a restaurant and have a bad meal, or they've taken a bit too much money. That kind of thing. Everything you do out there is a contract, and that is still covered under the laws of what the EU dictates for its directives. So there's loads of things. It could be anything.
Do these laws still apply if you buy something online from, say, Belgium when you get it delivered to you? Can you still have the backup, the consumer protection, as you would if you went into the actual shop?
You find the main bulk of these laws, obviously, with the culture that we have now of online shopping and the choice that we have to buy. Most of this stuff is online, and online protection is very good. You've got the right to cancel if you just change your mind. There's loads there, and it's vast, and it allows your purchasing to be so much more varied. And price is obviously one of the main things there. What's the point in not having a look around anymore? You might find something half the price.
Yeah, my wife does so much online shopping now. I'm going to have to get a larger wheelie bin for all the packaging. I'm just running out of space. Yeah. Do you have any recent stories where you've helped somebody when they've ordered something online where you've stepped in and helped them?
Obviously we deal with many things. I mean, to note, we've had some recently where there was a pair of football boots, quite an expensive pair of football boots bought from a company here in the UK. The paint started to scratch after one wear, and this was one of the main features of the boot. Mm-hmm. So we contacted the company, and they told us actually the manufacturer of this boot thought that was acceptable wear, and drilling down into discussions with the seller of the item about the laws and expectations, we actually managed to secure them a credit. So the consumer who was elsewhere in the EU actually was very happy with that, was able to buy some new boots and kind of went along their way. So where you have that instance, the consumer tries to contact the company, they don't get anywhere, they don't agree. You can actually have a bit more of a discussion through that mediation. We're not forcing them to do anything. It's just a discussion about how can you help resolve this customer here, bringing into customer service quite confidently. We're good at that. It's something that we are trained to do. So, with the law and the manner, that's quite useful to have. And, I'd advocate that. It's free. There's no harm in trying, I guess.
No, but before they come to you, they should at least give the supplier a chance to put it right first.
Yeah. So. Yeah, well, I think that's the least you can offer. You have to do it with some things like the air passenger rights. If you're going for cancellation or lost luggage or damaged luggage, you've always got to contact them first to make that claim. Otherwise, your claim might not be valid in some instances. So, always contact the company. And so I'm sure you and your listeners might be aware about flight cancellations, and with the potential for compensation. That's a big one. That's one that we get a lot, as I said at the start. We get quite a lot of people, a lot of compensation back for failed flights, delayed flights, denied boarding. So that's something which is pretty much a daily occurrence for us. But obviously, we can't win them all, but there's a good proportion there.
The denied boarding just reminded me of a passenger I saw at Luton Airport maybe 3 weeks ago. He wasn't allowed boarding because the person on the check-in desk said his passport wasn't valid. Well, actually it was. They just had the 6-month thing in their head. Could somebody in that instance come... If the airline's probably going to say we're not going to do anything about it, but in that sort of case where the check-in staff made a mistake, could the passenger still come to you?
Yes, there's always a point where a consumer can only deal with a certain part of that company's customer service hierarchy. We are very lucky in some instances, certainly with some of the bigger companies, to have a direct contact to their legal department or like executive customer relations. So it does pay to make your complaint. But if you aren't getting anywhere, seek further assistance, because we can then go through it properly, provide evidence, and then if that brings up that actually, there's been a mistake, for instance, say by the airline, you might be entitled to the compensation.
You can keep up to date with travel news and leave me a message at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. You had nearly 17,000 inquiries in 2016. Was there anything there that really surprised you?
No, I don't think in terms of surprise. I mean, obviously it's good that the amount of people that are contacting us is going up. We always like to see that. It means that we're doing our job with our promotion through our social media, that kind of thing. The awareness is there, which is good. But, year on year, you see that the likes of transport, purchasing, the online part of it, clothing, that kind of thing, it all stays steady, and this is just showing the kind of habits that consumers have and what they're doing, and, the awareness for what we are. But it'd be nice to be a bit broader, I guess. But no, I can't say I'm too surprised.
I was going to ask a really difficult question about whether companies regularly appear in your list or not, but I guess you can't really say whether they do or not. But as a consumer yourself, you must know who to avoid with all these contacts that have been made to your organisation.
To be honest, we don't really keep information, so we don't have a big blacklist of companies. Obviously, we see companies coming in. There's many that we provide information to the relevant authorities on. So we don't just sit back on this information. Although we're not an enforcement authority, we actually do work very well with the likes of trading standards in the UK and the Competition and Markets Authority. We're always talking and providing information where we can, because we're consumers. We're having all of these. We have to give this data to someone. It needs to be dealt with at some point. So that's good. I mean, I hope people can understand that we're here not just to help you. It's for the greater good as well. But there's many that come through, and they go. You get a new one. Especially we've seen it over the years with holiday contracts. You get a company come, they might do the circuit for a bit, and then they tail off, and then something new comes along, or a piece of legislation changes, and then a completely new type of product comes out that gets around that legislation. Companies' interpretation of the law, and getting into a contract and them sending you goods when actually you haven't, as far as you're concerned, entered into any contract. So there's lots of different good ones in there, and maybe for another day with names and stuff like that.
What's big in the world of travel at the minute, well, within the industry, is people making sickness claims. Are you finding people are coming to you because they felt they were poisoned when they were on holiday?
Can't say it's something we see a lot of. I mean, generally, the personal injury kind of side is outside of consumer law. I'm sure there's lots of personal injury lawyers out there, and they probably pick up the brunt of those claims before they ever get to someone like us.
Yeah, I've seen some of their YouTube adverts. Are quite frightening. So we're coming up to the summer holidays I mentioned earlier. Are there any particular tips that the UK European Consumer Centre suggest people follow before they go away? Yeah,
so obviously with your flight, just make sure that if anything goes wrong, to make your complaint to the company. Try and do it as early as possible, especially with luggage. If you find your luggage is lost or damaged, then make sure you complain at the airport, and then within 7 days to the airline. It's really important to do that. Looking at things like accommodation, if you booked a package holiday, like a proper package, then the tour operator could be liable if things don't go well. So again, it's always really worth complaining at the time the thing happens, because if you've got no record of your complaint, they're just going to look at that and think, well, you didn't complain, so are you sure it's even right? So that's the key thing here, making sure you do that at the time. It's also worth downloading our travel app. That gives some really good guidance on your rights. Also, if you can't speak the language, it actually translates it as well into, I think, 26 or 27 different languages, which is useful for any country in the EU, really. And that works offline, so you don't have to use your data. So that's worth having a look at. Car hire, just be really vigilant. There are some bogus companies out there who can try and take advantage of insurances beforehand, or claiming damage where there wasn't any. Take your camera, take a few pictures, make sure you know what you're signing. Just everything like that. Check the fuel policy. That's also a big one. Make sure you have to either use the whole tank or fill it up before you go back.
You've mentioned your app, and we've mentioned your website, but we've not given the web address. How can we find you?
Yeah, so the website, which has got lots of information on, you can find us at www.UKECC.net. Plenty of different advice pages there, all our contact details. The phone lines we have are open 9 till 5, so quite available to give us a call, send us an email, whatever you want to do, really.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the telephone, because sometimes it's easier to chat than try and put everything in an email. It gets very confusing, so yes.
Yes, yeah, that is true. So you can get us on 01268 886690. As I said, there's not usually a big queue. You've got loads of us in the office that are able to pick that up and answer your query, usually there and then. That's the good thing. We don't pull people back or keep people holding on. We usually get it done in one call. Okay,
that's great. Thanks, Adam. Thanks for your time.
That's right. Thank you.
Checking it out before you check in on the John Guinn Travel Show on ukhealthradio.com. The contact details for the UK European Consumer Centre will be posted at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. Just look for the posting for the 15th of June show. It's also the place to contact me if there's any particular travel subject you'd like covered on a future show, or if you want to share any tips or just show off your holiday photos. That's facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. Talking about showing off, I was in Antigua in 2012. I've been there since then, but this interview was recorded in 2012. I made my way from the hotel to the offices of the Antigua and Barbuda Tourism Authority in the capital, and by the time I got there I was so hot and sweaty. It took about 5 minutes for me to stop sweating, and I had all these tissues on my head trying to stop it running down my face. As you know, I've got no hair. But anyway, got the interview started. It was my first overseas interview. I was quite nervous about it, but I needn't have been, because the person I was interviewing, Mr. Colin James, who was the CEO of the Tourism Authority, was very calm and relaxing. So let's find out why you should visit Antigua and Barbuda.
Yeah, Antigua is located in the Eastern Caribbean. It's about 7.5 hours direct flying from London Gatwick. It's sunny all year round, 365 beaches, one for every day of the year, and it's really easy to get to for our visitors from the UK.
How will the UK visitors get here?
That's the daily flights from British Airways, leaving London Gatwick. You leave at about 10 in the morning, and by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're here in Antigua. Within 45 minutes, we can have you on the beach. So it's fairly easy to get to from the UK. You can also get here on Virgin 3 times a week, Virgin Atlantic, as well as visitors who are in continental Europe can get here on Condor weekly flights from Frankfurt and Blue Panorama weekly flights from Milan in Italy. So we're particularly well connected to our European market. Our British visitors make up about a third, roughly, of the arrivals to Antigua and Barbuda. We have another third, say, coming from